Welcome to the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable, where authors from all walks of life come together to discuss the trials, tribulations, and triumphs of publishing their books. I'm your host, Corey Graham. Join us here every Friday night at 8 p.m. or listen anytime via podcast at Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, and PodServe, to name just a few. The Author Roundtable is sponsored by ReaderHouse Online Bookstore, where the independent new authors come first. Sitting down with me now here at the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable, I'm very happy to welcome author Maybelline Hicks-Samuel. Maybelline, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Corey, so much for inviting me. It's my pleasure.
I wanted to congratulate you, Maybelline. You have a new book out titled Touched by Cancer, Loved by God, unveiling the shame and stigma of breast cancer. Maybelline, can you tell me all about this?
I'd love to. Touched by Cancer, Loved by God is really an inspirational book about hope and leaning on God's dependency when you're not strong enough to fight the battle on your own. Also, the book was written to help unveil the shame and stigma of breast cancer because so many women face the disease and they go through this disease just in unbearable shame, failing to realize that this is a disease that we can't control as women. As my breast cancer specialist said to me, Dr. Yolanda Tamaro, if you're a woman and you have breasts, then you are at risk of getting the disease. And with that being said, Corey, I would just like for women to know when you're reading this book and if they're diagnosed with this disease that the stigma should not go along with shame because we've done nothing and therefore we should not be ashamed that we've been diagnosed.
It's a great message. So obviously this is a great book for those who are experiencing this terrible disease, but I imagine that there's a wider audience for it and more than just them.
Oh, absolutely. The book is about breast cancer, but it's also about finding hope and also inspiration. It's about finding a better path, a path that's paved with darkness, that once you learn to overcome challenges of being diagnosed and living in that fear and the consequences of fear, and also some of the aesthetics that go along with breast cancer, sometimes depending on the severity or the stage of the breast cancer. We as women, we lose our hair. Some women lose their breasts. And with society, there is so much emphasis placed on the aesthetics of how perfect you are, how beautiful you are. And the book, Touched by Cancer, Loved by God, it delves into a woman's own self-esteem of who she is, because we are more than, and I talk about this in one of the chapters in the book, we're more than a set of breasts or a tiny waist or hips that are a perfect 38 or 36. We're much more than that as women. And I hope that when women read this book, they will learn, as I did, to put things in perspective. When we talk about putting things into perspective, we're talking about navigating a path forward and navigating also a new landscape after this diagnosis. And it doesn't have to be breast cancer. Certainly, it could be any challenge. It could be a heart attack. It could be a stroke. I know so many women, even men, that are recovering from strokes and various diseases. And we have to find a path forward because we're not the old person that we used to be. I always say the old self, but rather we become bigger and better as we face off these challenges and also the stigma that's surrounding any type of disease or disability. We look at people that have diseases and disability quite differently than we do. I know I did before I was diagnosed, Corey. I always thought of women that were diagnosed with breast cancer as those poor souls. Oh my gosh, that poor thing. And then, you go, well, oh, my God, I wonder what kind of lifestyle that they have. Being diagnosed with, particularly with breast cancer, it doesn't mean that you're diagnosed with a negative lifestyle. It doesn't mean that you smoke or drink and indulge in drugs. Those are things that I didn't do, and I ended up with the disease. Breast cancer can certainly be genetic. It could be a genetic factor. It could also be environmental. And a lot of it I learned through my research. It's stress-induced. stress can certainly play a large role in a woman's life if she's diagnosed and she has a very stressful life.
Oh, what a great message this book has. Again, the title is Touched by Cancer, Loved by God, Unveiling the Shame and Stigma of Breast Cancer. This is written by Maybelline Hicks-Samuel, published by Covenant Books, and available at Amazon and Barnes & Noble and iTunes, also traditional brick-and-mortar stores. Maybelline, it's been really wonderful having you on the show, talking with you, and learning all about Touched by Cancer, Loved by God. Thanks again for being here.
Corey, thank you so much, and I really appreciate the opportunity and the time, and I hope the message will go forward and all those that are hearing will go out and buy the book, Celebrate Women. Thank you, Corey.
Author Pete Rendina has written a book that was developed to help readers who are struggling to come to God and understand what they truly want from life. The book is titled Manifesting Through Faith. And I'm really happy that the author, Pete, is right here with me now, and we're going to talk all about this. Pete, welcome to the show. I really appreciate you being here tonight.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely, Pete. Can you tell me what readers are going to get into with Manifesting Through Faith?
So the manifestation process has really been New Age. You know, they look at it from a universal perspective, and I really look at it from a biblical stance. And the universe essentially is God. And a lot of the practices of the manifestation process are in the Bible. I have Bible verses that back up all the practices through the chapters and really show that it's not more or less a grand genie that's going to grant every wish and give you a Ferrari and $1 million. Your desires are going to align with God's desires for your life, and you're going to see a fruitful life that way.
So is it primarily a believing audience that you have in mind for this?
Yes.
So what was that spark? What made you decide, hey, I got to write this book?
So my wife got sick in 2022. She was diagnosed with breast cancer 3 months after our son was born. And through her cancer battle, we really studied mindset and faith. I grew up wrestling, so mindset's always been a big thing for me. It's just a really mental sport. And through her battle, faith was what we really held on to. We prayed a lot. We read the Bible. And in 2024, she passed away. And I was writing this book kind of through her process and just talking to her about it. She's like, if you finish it, I think you should publish it. And I finished the manuscript, and I never got a chance for her to read it just because she was kind of weak and it was just a hard time. But when she was in the hospital, we kept seeing the advertisement for Covenant Books, and that's who I published through. And they were just phenomenal and really helped me to do everything from the cover art to picking the size of the font. I mean, it was just a great process. And it's really just owed to my wife to try and share our faith and just kind of bring more people to the faith is what I feel. Because the final chapter is, if you get anything from the book, is I hope you get a relationship with Christ. Just really feel like that's my purpose now, and to share as much as I can.
That's really wonderful, Pete. Is this the first time you've gotten into this kind of thing, the writing, publishing, everything?
Yes, from this stance. So I went to the University of Michigan on a wrestling scholarship. I got a degree in English and a minor in screenwriting. So I always loved to write. And when I actually met my wife, she had a 3-year-old daughter at the time. And I wrote a children's book series called The Little Bee Books. And I published through Amazon, which Amazon does pretty much everything, but financially it's not the greatest route, I would say. So I wanted to go through a reputable publisher. So I found Covenant, and that's kind of how I went through them. I'm hoping to write some other things, but right now, just this book is kind of my main focus.
So once you got your manuscript already and you hooked up with Covenant and you started working with them, Pete, what did you find the most challenging part of that publishing end of things for you?
I think the first initial step was the most difficult because I reached out to them before my wife passed away, and then after she passed away, I kind of sat back on it. And I have to say that they were very, not pushy, but they kept checking on me, just letting me know, whenever you're ready, we would love to publish it. We like the manuscript. It was never like hey, you have this amount of time. It was just, we're here for you when you need it. And we really liked the book. So I really loved that aspect of it. And they were very transparent every step of the way, made sure I was happy with everything that was done with the book. So that, I would say, is something that I really like about them. I don't feel like it was really challenging in any sense other than just taking that leap of kind of, hey, once I publish this, it's almost like it's real. And the grief process is very difficult to explain unless you're in it. But once I published it, I just felt like my wife was kind of nudging me to do it. So it's just kind of my way of keeping her memory alive.
The title is Manifesting Through Faith. It's written by Pete Rendina, published by Covenant Books, and available at places like Amazon and Barnes & Noble and iTunes and right down the street at your local bookshop. Well, Pete, thank you so much for coming on the show and telling me about this book and a little bit about your story and everything. It was really great talking.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on here, and I really appreciate you taking the time to hear my story.
I'm looking at a guide to finding true purpose and fulfillment through alignment with Christ. It's the new book written by Taylor Johnson titled Aligned and Alive, Aligning Your Life for Fulfillment in Christ. I'm talking with Taylor right now here at the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable. We're going to find out all about the book. Taylor, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
It's great to have you, Taylor, and I'm curious about Aligned and Alive. So can you tell me what readers are going to find here?
Absolutely. So Aligned and Alive is really a book that was inspired by my own personal journey in finding fulfillment and seeking out fulfillment. And I found that through Christ, Jesus Christ alone. And so he took me on this personal journey of intimacy with him and just, really getting clear on what is going to actually bring me true fulfillment, because I had sought it out in so many different ways and areas in my life, through business success, through people's opinions of me, what others think of me, self-image, all of these other areas and ways. And I just never found it in those places, as, so many other people can relate to that. And so he took me through this personal journey and simultaneously had me write about it. And so that's really what readers will find in the book Aligned and Alive, is really just a story of aligning your lifestyle and inviting Christ to the center of your life, where he's touching all areas of your life, and how much joy and abundance and fulfillment that really brings to you, because we were created for that.
Taylor, what kinds of readers did you have in mind for this? Who do you think this would connect with the most?
Yeah, probably someone that was in the same place that I was prior to writing this book. Just, maybe you're someone that knows Christ, Jesus, and you just have been in this wavering place. Like, he's a part of your life, but not really the center of your life. And maybe you are just chasing success, chasing your own personal dreams, just living life kind of for yourself, not really knowing your overall purpose as far as what he wants for you. I believe this book will really reach those readers that just want to go deeper in their journey with God and better understanding who God is for them on a personal level, and how to walk that out, how to live that out, how to really align their life to him and the life that he's calling them to.
So what does your writing background look like, Taylor? Before this, have you written or published much?
No, I have not. Actually, the journey before this was not really anything to do with writing. I have a business and leadership degree, and I just never really had a writing background or really a huge desire to write. It was just kind of something stirred in me before I wrote the book. So I did kind of have an interest in writing at the height of my business success, like, I should write a book. But that kind of fizzled out. And then I had this desire again before I wrote Aligned and Alive. So yeah, this was not anything that I had dreamed of.
So once you sat down, started on this, clear up through the publishing process and it being done completely, was this a long journey for you overall that you were on?
I think so. It took about 2 years probably from start to finish. So just with life and, other things that were going on, it definitely took about 2 years start to finish.
And then after all that time and that work that you put into it, Taylor, that day finally came, your first copy arrives, you're holding it in your hands for the first time. What was that like for you?
It was surreal. It was exciting. It was just a moment to reflect and be like, wow, God, we actually did this, That's really how I felt inside. I felt really joyful and just excited for the readers that would get to dive into the book.
I think this book was going to connect with a lot of readers. Again, this is titled Aligned and Alive, Aligning Your Life for Fulfillment in Christ. It's written by Taylor Johnson, published by Christian Faith Publishing, and available pretty much everywhere, like Amazon and Barnes & Noble and iTunes, also traditional brick-and-mortar stores. Taylor, it's been really nice talking with you tonight and learning all about Aligned and Alive. Thanks again for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. Take care.
The new book by C.W. is a testament to faith, resilience, and triumph over adversity. It's titled My Journey with Jesus. We'll be talking all about it right now. C.W. is here with me. C.W., welcome to the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable. I really appreciate you being here tonight.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
C.W., can you tell me all about My Journey with Jesus and what you've written about here?
Well, my journey with Jesus is my deep personal emotion reflects on my life experience that I went through. Races, I was abused as a kid. My mother, she was white French Canadian, and my daddy was Creole. So when we came to California, my mother got involved with alcohol and started doing drugs and stuff. So I was basically torn apart from my family. So I figured when I get older, I was going to write a book of my deep emotion that reflects on my journey with Jesus, is to express how good God been to me and how God have always protected me and been there for me no matter what I went through. So I always put my faith and trust in God to lead and guide me in the right direction. And for years, I've been wanting to write this book. And then all of a sudden, when the coronavirus came, it gave me a deep sense of writing down what I feel note by note and putting it all together in a collage and start writing the book, what I really felt about and what had happened to me in my lifetime. But writing this book really helped me overcome a lot of obstacles, my emotional feelings. I've never been able to discuss it until I wrote this book, and it helped me a lot to heal. And it's to help other people that went through what I went through, the ones that went through races, the ones that have been abused, the ones that had nobody to turn to, just to let them know God's going to be there no matter what. If you put your faith and trust in God, pray all the time, read your Bible all the time, God is going to be there for you no matter what. That's what my experience has been. And this book really healed me. So I advise anybody that's going through trials and tribulations that they should pick my book up, purchase my book, read it, and it's going to give them the peace of mind that they need and the encouragement that what they need is what I went through. God was there for me no matter what. So people just need to know they're never alone. If they get abused, they're never alone. If they're in a bad marriage, they're never alone. And on top of it, I got married when I was 20 years old, too young, I know, but he turned to be a totally different person. And again, I depend on God. I depend on God through the whole situation. My ex-husband, when I got married to him, he turned to be a totally different person. And that helped me write the book, too, because it healed me. It's just knowing that I was able to write this book, and God gave me the wisdom and the knowledge and the words on what to say. And that's what helped me a lot. Because God put people in your midst to help. He's going to be there for you, don't matter what. People just have to realize, put your faith and trust in God. Always read your Bible. Always pray. Always put God first. No matter what you're going through, God's going to be there for you because He always been there for me. And that's what my book is mostly about, the encouragement, the toxic relationship, mostly everything. People don't think that God's going to be there. Some people, they think about committing suicide. No, that's not the way to do it. The way to do it is always having your faith and trust in Jesus. And my book, I made it so it can reach people and let them know that they're not alone. You have somebody in your life. God loves you. Jesus loves you. No matter what you're going through.
Well, I think a lot of people are going to be helped by this book. Again, it's titled My Journey with Jesus. It's written by C.W., published by Christian Faith Publishing, and available at Amazon and Barnes & Noble and iTunes and also traditional brick-and-mortar stores. CW, thank you so much again for coming on the show and telling me all about my journey with Jesus. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your help. Have a blessed and positive day.
Sitting down right here with me now at the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable, I'm happy to welcome author Anne Bruetsch. Anne, welcome. Thanks so much for joining me tonight.
Thank you for having me.
You just released a new book titled Larry the Llama Finds His New Home. And can you tell me all about what you've written here?
So I have a small alpaca farm, which I started about 10 years ago. I have 24 alpacas and now a llama. I had bought a new house and was making dinner for some friends, looked out across the field, and up along the road, I saw this white albino deer coming with a car behind it. And you can imagine who the white albino deer was. It wasn't a deer. And he joined our farm. He has not left. And he's actually the biggest, loving, supportive animal there is. He protects my alpacas. He has a job and he does his job. And he was at a farm before my house that was about 5 or 6 miles down the road. And they had got him at an auction, and there were 2 sets of bulls, and he was guarding the one set, and there was another llama guarding the females. And I guess the bulls were bullying, and Larry left. He hopped the fence and started walking.
So was there something in specific that sparked you to say, hey, I want to write this book and publish this?
So I kept telling my friends, everybody was like, oh, when did you get the llama? How'd you get the llama? And I kept telling my friends the story, and they were all like, that's a great story. You should write a children's book. And I was like, okay, maybe I'll try that.
Have you ever done anything like this before? Do you have experience with it?
Absolutely not. It was all like a fresh start. I had my help with the publishing company, and basically kind of just went through it step by step.
So once you sat down, started writing it, clear up through the publishing and everything, and was this a long journey that you were on overall?
No, I mean, I had the story in my mind, and I think the longest part was getting the pictures where I wanted them, because in my mind, I knew what Larry looked like, and they were coming back, and I was like, no, fix this, and Larry looks a little more like this. And I wanted to make sure at the end of the book we could include real pictures of Larry so people would know that he was really, really on the farm and really a llama. And yeah.
So after all that work you put into this, it's your first book, and that day came, you were holding it. That first copy came in and it was a real thing for you. And what was that moment like for you?
Well, it happened in February, right around Valentine's Day, and it was really overwhelming. And I went out to dinner with some friends, and they were like, when is that book publishing? When is that book publishing? And I said, well, actually, it is. And one of my friends had her phone, and they started looking up the title, and they saw where you could buy it at. And I was like, what? No, you mean it's there already? And they were like, yeah. And I was super excited to find out it was there. Yeah.
So now you're officially a published author. And what would you say is the most rewarding aspect to you of all that?
I think it's the legacy for my granddaughter, because she's in the book. And so I look at it and she can, she tells her friends, my Baba wrote the story and I'm in the book, and, she'll have that forever, and Larry will be immortalized in the book. So I think that's the big pieces.
So what would you say the chances are that you'll be writing more? Do you think you could do a follow-up to this? Maybe Larry has some more adventures?
Larry does have another adventure.
Wonderful.
Larry really hates shearing day, and shearing day is once a year. And so I'm pretty sure the next one is Don't Tell Larry It's Shearing Day.
Well, we have a lot of listeners right now who are also just starting out in all of this. And do you maybe have some advice that you could throw out there for them?
I think you need patience, and I think you just need to try it. I don't think it's an impossible task. I think if you have something you want to write down and put it out there for everybody to read, I think you should do it.
Again, it's titled Larry the Llama Finds His New Home. It's written by Anne Bruetsch and published by Christian Faith Publishing. So Find it pretty much everywhere, like Amazon or Barnes & Noble or iTunes, and also right down the street at your local bookshop. And thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been really wonderful talking with you tonight.
Thank you.
The book I'm looking at right now explores the consequences of using AI for criminal justice. It's a new thriller by Chaz Irvine. It's titled Fear Of. The author, Chaz, is right here with me now at the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable. We'll be talking all about it. Chaz, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Can you tell me all about Fear Of and what readers are going to find here?
Well, Fear Of actually emanated from the mind of a criminal. I was incarcerated for a period of 5 years, and I decided when I got out it was better to write about crime than to initiate it.
Chaz, what sorts of readers did you have in mind when you were writing this?
Well, my writings tend to blend over into the Christian community because at some point it seems like every one of my characters find Christ.
So what does your writing background look like? Do you have a lot of experience doing this kind of thing?
I have 5 books that I've written beforehand. Unfortunately, they haven't been monetary successes, but that's beside the point. I believe I'm doing what my Lord and Savior has instructed me to do.
So once you sat down, started writing Fear Of, was this a long process overall, the writing and publishing and everything?
Well, this took me over 1 year to write, and that was doing religious writing every day. And when I finished it, I felt like it was the best book I'd ever written. So that was rewarding in that respect.
Once you started that publishing process with Christian Faith Publishing, Chaz, what would you say was the most challenging part of all that for you?
Trying to impart to them my true feelings on writing the book. The main reason I wrote this book was to fund a nonprofit organization, which we've started to help victims of sex and human trafficking, for infants being murdered in the womb, for homeless people trying to get in off the streets, and for battered women trying to regain some sense of dignity.
Oh, that's some really important work, Chaz. Thank you for that.
Hopefully, if the book is successful, every dollar, we draw no salaries from our corporation, every dollar will go in towards that end.
So after all the work and all the time that you put into writing a book like Fear Of, what's that moment like whenever that first copy comes in, you're holding it for the first time?
A sense of satisfaction to some degree. And then in looking through it, I see some things that maybe I would change in the future, but overall, a sense of self-satisfaction.
So this is your 6th book, like you said. Do you plan on maybe writing more after this, do you think?
I have one in the hopper right now. I've got 24 chapters written to date, but it looks like this is going to be maybe a 2-year event.
Well, we have a lot of listeners right now who are authors just starting out. Chaz, do you have maybe some advice that you could throw out there for them?
The key to writing, as far as I'm concerned, is dedicated to daily writing something. It may not be what you would end up with on paper, but a rough draft would give you a start for the next day.
That's great advice. So your work is out there for the world. You've been published several times over, Chaz. What would you say is the most rewarding aspect of it all for you?
Well, just the sense of once I got out of prison to do something constructive rather than to be the destructive person I was in. That was my personality before I went in.
So does the writing ever get tough for you? Do you ever get writer's block, anything like that?
Occasionally. And when I do, I try to find something else to occupy my mind. And I'll even read somebody else's writings, watch TV, and gather information from movies that I deem to be valuable.
And you mentioned reading. You know, I've talked with a lot of authors here over the years, and I've noticed a lot of them really love to read. Would you call yourself an avid reader?
Absolutely. Before I started writing, I was probably reading on the average of 40 to 50 books a year.
Oh, wow. That's great. Well, I think readers are going to love this book. Again, the title is Fear Of. It's written by Chaz Irvine, published by Christian Faith Publishing, and available at Amazon and Barnes & Noble and iTunes, also traditional brick-and-mortar stores. Well, Chaz, it's been great talking with you tonight and learning all about fear of. Thanks again for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. I've enjoyed it.
The new book by Laetitia Black is designed to help encourage emotional healing from toxic relationships. The name of the book is Humble Yourself, Heal Yourself: Life Lessons and Survival Tactics to Overcome Narcissistic and Emotional Abuse. Laetitia is right here with me now at the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable. We're going to be talking all about it. Laetitia, welcome. I appreciate you being here tonight.
Thank you so much for having me.
Laetitia, can you tell me all about Humble Yourself, Heal Yourself, and what readers are going to find here?
Well, this was my biggest passion project to date. I've had the benefit of being a community servant for the past 25 years, founded a nonprofit organization, Ladies Who Lunch and Support, where we raise awareness of women's health issues. And the mission of that nonprofit is to make sure that women don't suffer in silence from health issues that they've been diagnosed with. And here it is, all the while that I was a community servant, I was dealing with generations of toxic patterns of behavior in my maternal and paternal family. And here I was, someone who was suffering in silence. So it was a 20-year journey. It took me 10 years to draft my first version of the book. And what I'm hoping to do is reach other people who may be afraid to share their story, but are looking for a more personal resource than what's out here on the market now. I'm not a medical practitioner or professional, but when I did my own personal research, I found that the books that I read, the journals that I read, were all from a medical perspective. So there was nothing personal about these references. And so it did give me some insight on what was going on within my family, but there was nothing personal about it. And so I tied that into what was going to be my most profound passion project to date. And I'm hoping that the people who are going to benefit, or I see the people who are going to benefit the most, are going to be the ones who have been victims of parent-child narcissistic abuse. And I found that in my community, we seldom discuss or address mental illness or any forms of therapy that may contribute to good mental health. So I'm hoping that the book is going to put an end to the toxic patterns in my family and, in other people's families.
Laetitia, what does your writing background look like? Are you experienced in this kind of thing?
Well, I'm a graduate of Loyola University in New Orleans. I had a major in English writing, a double minor in psychology and sociology, then went on to Southern University Law Center. It's been 25 years now since I've been a practicing attorney, and I think those tools helped me to draft the book and give me the confidence that I needed to do it.
So once you had your manuscript already and you started working with your publisher, Newman Springs, Laetitia, what did you find the most challenging part of that publishing process for you?
The biggest thing, because this was more of a spiritual thing for me, it was an act of faith. It was really important for me to find a publisher who could understand this walk that I was taking. There are myriads of publishing houses out there right now. Some of them want someone who has an educational background, which I did not, or a medical background, which I did not. This one was based specifically on my personal experience. And what I liked about Newman Springs was that they were extremely patient with me, guided me along the way and let me know what the expectations were. So the most difficult thing was just getting the courage to write the manuscript.
What a wonderful message in this book. Again, it's titled Humble Yourself, Heal Yourself: Life Lessons and Survival Tactics to Overcome Narcissistic and Emotional Abuse. This is written by Laetitia Black, published by Newman Springs Publishing, and available pretty much everywhere, like Amazon and Barnes & Noble and iTunes, also traditional brick-and-mortar stores. Laetitia, it's been wonderful talking with you tonight and learning all about this book. Thanks again for being here.
Thank you, sir. I really appreciate the opportunity.
This is a charming story of a stray cat who makes his way into the heart and home of a young girl. It's written by Michelle Nicholson. It's titled The Orange Cat Finds a Home. Michelle is sitting right here with me now at the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable. We're going to be talking all about it. Michelle, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Michelle, can you tell me all about The Orange Cat Finds a Home and what readers are going to get into here?
Sure. Well, my book is about a heartwarming story of how this little orange cat came to live with us and become a big part of our family.
Michelle, what sorts of readers did you have in mind for this?
I would say mostly children from like 0 to 10 years old or whatever, but I believe children of all ages, including adults, will really enjoy it.
Michelle, what was that inspiration, that spark that made you say, hey, I want to sit down and get started on this book?
My sister-in-law kept on saying, you need to write a book. You need to write a book. So I finally sat down and decided to write it about the orange cat that came to our house.
So this is your first book then?
Yes, it is.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So once you got started on this, was this a long process overall, the writing part, the publishing part, the whole thing?
It took probably about a year and a half to do, from the writing all in through the publishing and everything.
So once you had your manuscript ready, you started working with your publisher, Newman Springs. Michelle, what would you say was the most challenging part of that publishing process for you?
I would say trying to find a genre. You know, what age should it be about? That was the toughest part for me. Everything else kind of came easy.
Yeah, a big part of books like this is the illustration, so that was smooth for you as well?
Yes, it was. I submitted some. I didn't have an illustrator, so I submitted some of the pictures of our cat and everything, and they took it from there. And they did a wonderful job.
And after all that time and work that you put into it, you were finally holding the first copy. It was a real thing. Michelle, what kind of a moment was that like for you?
Oh, my God. It was so real. I mean, I could not believe it. It was the most amazing feeling I ever had. I mean, I've never been so excited and so proud of myself ever.
Well, so now it's official. You're a published author, Michelle. What would you say is the most rewarding aspect of it all for you?
I would say being able to tell my mom before she passed that I was a published author.
So looking ahead, do you think you got some more books in you? Do you think you'd do this again?
Oh, yes, definitely. I have 3 more written already to go with the series. I'm hoping it'll become one and people just enjoy reading them and come back for more.
Well, a lot of listeners right now are authors who are also starting out in all of this. Do you have maybe some advice that you could toss out there for them?
I would say do it. You never know unless you try. And I mean, it's a wonderful feeling to have a book published and have your name on it.
So I've talked with a lot of authors here over the years, and one thing I've noticed is that how many of them love to read as well. Michelle, would you call yourself an avid reader?
Yes and no. I mean, I like different things. I love rock music, so I love reading rock magazines and everything. I also love, keeping up with the news, and I love history. So I love to read a little bit about everything, I guess you can say.
So this is a big deal. There's a lot that goes into writing and publishing a book. Michelle, did you have people in your life that were kind of there for you and they could kind of keep you motivated and encouraged along the way?
Oh, yes, my family. They were also very supportive and kept pushing me. And yes, they were a great big help to me.
So while you're writing, it can be such a joy when you write, but sometimes it gets tough. Sometimes you get writer's block, things like that. Does that happen to you?
Not at this time, it didn't. I mean, I just sat down and I just kept writing and writing and writing, and all of a sudden I had this whole book. And then I kept writing some more, and I had 3 more books after that.
Do you have a kind of a routine to your writing? Like, do you like to write the same time every day, like maybe when you first get up or maybe late at night, or you just kind of write whenever you find that time or you find that inspiration hitting you?
I just write when I can find the time or when the inspiration hits. I just kind of jot down notes here and there. And then, when I have the moment, I just kind of put it all together.
Again, it's titled The Orange Cat Finds a Home. It's written by Michelle Nicholson, published by Newman Springs Publishing, and available at Amazon and Barnes & Noble and iTunes and also traditional brick-and-mortar stores. Michelle, it's been really nice talking with you tonight and learning all about The Orange Cat Finds a Home. Thanks again for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm sitting down with author Ruben Charles here at the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable, and we're talking about his new book, Symbolism is the Theoretical Base of All Sciences. Ruben, welcome to the show. Thanks so much for joining me.
Oh, thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Ruben, can you tell me all about this book, Symbolism is the Theoretical Base of All Sciences? What have you written about here?
Oh, what I'm trying to explain about this book, that nowadays we are witnessing the post-modernity of our society, which characterizes that the more it becomes the palm of the hand, the more it is symbolized, the more the human being flounders in the universe of symbolism, the more it becomes a symbolized being. Today's world is simplified by the symbolic objects we use because they represent the center of the world. There is no social organization, no social relationship, no social solidarity. In other words, no life on earth outside of symbolism. Let me tell you, human beings create objects to satisfy their needs. However, these same objects have fascinated their existence. Instead of having control of objects, it is these objects that have control of its behavior because they are at the center of the world, to such an extent that there is no life on earth outside of symbolism. Without them, we no longer exist. Also, I explain clearly in this book how our life, even the world, functions from a system of symbolic system of representation.
Ruben, what sort of a target audience did you have for this?
Oh, it's scientific community, but it's for the public in general because it's all about human being. Today, if someone needs to know who he really is in this planet, he needs to have a copy of this book.
So is there something in particular that sparked you to start writing this?
Let me tell you, after 22 years of experience in scientific research, I realized that to have a better understanding of the social reality, we need symbolism. Like I said, we are living in a world where almost everything is virtual and digital. Our society changed because the problem of absent, present, present, absent is solved. And the way we act toward our fellow human beings and objects is completely different. Today, to understand the social facts and to have a better reading of the social dynamic of our societies, the science needs a new approach. Otherwise, we will miss 60% of the reality. Not only that, all sciences use symbols and images to explain their ideas. And remember, these elements are the very essence of symbolism. That's why, I thought it was necessary to come up with it.
So what does your background look like when it comes to writing and publishing, Ruben? Have you done this kind of thing before?
Oh, yes, but let me tell you, from my young age, I was passionate about reading. I had a week for novels, articles, and science. Very early, I started writing poems, acrostic, and text. From the beginning of my high school, I had stood out through my writing in my school, and I had become very popular. So, through the advice of my social sciences teachers, I discovered that my field of development was social and human sciences. That was the reason why, in 2003, at the end of my studies, I went to the Faculty of Ethnology to obtain a bachelor's degree in sociology, anthropology, and ethnology. And in 2015, I earned a master's degree in social anthropology. It was during this period that I threw myself fully into scientific research.
So you worked with your publisher, Christian Faith Publishing. What would you say was the most challenging part of that publishing process for you?
The only thing, you need to be patient. I think, that's the only thing I need, and I was very confident and, be patient.
So finally, after all that work that you put into this, Ruben, you got your first copy in and you were holding this book for the first time. What kind of a moment was that like for you?
Oh my God. I was, I was very excited at that moment. I was very excited. I cried, but it wasn't happy tears because I said, I was on my way to realize, my dream.
Well, this is definitely an important book. Again, it's titled Symbolism is the Theoretical Base of All Sciences. This is written by Ruben Charles, published by Christian Faith Publishing, and available at places like Amazon and Barnes & Noble and iTunes, and also right down the street at your local bookshop. Ruben, thank you again for coming on the show and talking to me about your book. It was really great chatting with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It was a pleasure.
This is a powerful story of betrayal, loyalty, and hope that follows two lost yet inextricably connected souls. It's the new book by Tashina Hanson. It's titled Fervor and Disenchantment. Tashina is sitting right here with me now at the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable, and we get to talk all about this. Tashina, welcome. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Tashina, can you tell me what readers are in store for when they get into Fervor and Disenchantment?
Readers will be in store for a story of redemption. You know, we've all made mistakes and we've all made very bad choices that can lead us down dangerous roads, especially as a young adult. So they will get to be with Tessa on this journey and watch her make those bad decisions, but also see that path of redemption and how making different choices can really change your life.
Tashina, what sort of readers did you have in mind when you were working on this?
Honestly, my target demographic would be anywhere between anyone, man or woman, from 18 all the way up to retirement age.
So how did this all come about? What was your motivation, your inspiration to start this?
I've always dreamt of being a writer. Being a published author has been a lifelong dream of mine. And I finally just took the plunge, and here we are.
Tashina, once you got started on this, was this a long journey overall, the writing and publishing and everything?
It was. The very first novel, it probably took me around 5 years to write. And once I got saved, I actually took that first story, repurposed it, and here we are today. So it's been a few years in the making, but I'm so excited to see where we go from here.
So you had your manuscript already, and you hooked up with your publisher, Covenant Books, and you started that publishing process. Tashina, what did you find the most challenging part of that end of things for you?
Probably just being a brand new author and having no idea. You know, I work in IT, so I had never been through any process like this before. Covenant, they have been amazing. They've been in constant contact with me. I had a publishing assistant who was amazing. And yeah, they were with me every step of the way.
And I could only imagine then what you were thinking and feeling whenever it was a real thing. You get your first copy and holding it for the first time. Tashina, what was that like?
I cried. It was kind of just this manifestation of a lifelong dream, and I was holding it in my hand, so to speak. So it was almost like an out-of-body experience.
It's your first book. You're officially a published author now. What would you say is the most rewarding aspect of it all for you?
Really just accomplishing the goal and realizing that there are other people out there too who love stories and can connect with characters. So to be able to create that for someone else just means the world to me.
So while you were writing this, Tashina, did you have sort of an outline that you were working off of, or were you just writing and kind of seeing where it went from there?
I was writing and I kind of saw where it went from there. You know, I know the characters and they really told me where the story went.
Did you find that the story might have changed a bit from what you were thinking, just as sort of the characters were being developed?
Oh, yes, absolutely. You know, they kind of took on their persona all of their own, and they kind of came to life. And the more I got to know the characters, the more they drove the story. A lot of prayer went into that as well. But yeah, it did change over time. And in the end, I was so happy with how it turned out.
Yeah, the act of writing, it can be so joyful, but sometimes it gets hard, you know, sometimes you get writer's block. Does that happen to you sometimes, Tashina?
Oh, absolutely. And rewrites happen as well. So, you know, I might have written it one way at first and then went back and read it and then just decided on a completely new course. So it did take a lot of time, for sure.
So if you're sitting there, you want to write and you're just staring at the blank screen, the words aren't coming out. Do you have something that maybe gets those ideas going again?
You know what? Just really stepping away. Most of my ideas come to me at night when I'm either going to sleep or asleep. So I keep a notebook by my bed in case any ideas come to me in the middle of the night.
Well, it sounds like readers are going to love this. Again, the book is titled Fervor and Disenchantment. It's written by Tashina Hanson, published by Covenant Books, and available pretty much everywhere. Places like Amazon and Barnes & Noble and iTunes, also traditional brick-and-mortar stores. Well, Tashina, it's been really wonderful talking with you tonight and learning all about Fervor and Disenchantment. Thanks again for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I had a blast.
We hope you enjoyed this edition of the ReaderHouse Author Roundtable, where authors from all walks of life come together to discuss the trials, tribulations, and triumphs of publishing their books. We hope to see you back here every Friday night at 8 p.m. or listen anytime via podcast at Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, and PodServe, to name just a few. The Author Roundtable is sponsored by ReaderHouse Online Bookstore, where independent new authors come first.